Before we begin, pause. Seriously, stop for a moment. Unclench your jaw, relax your shoulders, grab a coffee, tea, water, anything that makes this moment feel intentional. Then just listen. You don't need to agree with anything you're about to hear. You just need to follow it. If you enjoy where this goes, like the video, leave a comment with the strangest thing you've ever noticed about reality, and share this with someone who occasionally stares at their hands and feels suspicious. All right, look around. Really look. The walls, the screen, your hands, the subtle delay between intention and movement, the way the world feels stable, solid, unquestionable. Now ask yourself a deeply uncomfortable question. How do you know any of this is real? Not real in the poetic sense, I mean fundamentally real. How do you know this isn't a simulation? This idea used to belong to science fiction, video games, movies, late-night philosophy conversations that went nowhere. But today, serious physicists, philosophers, and computer scientists argue that a simulated reality is not only possible, it might be likely. Let's start with something simple. Every year, our simulations get better. Video games used to be dots and lines. Now they simulate physics, lighting, weather, crowds, economies, ecosystems. Virtual worlds persist even when no one is looking at them. And crucially, characters inside those worlds, if they were conscious, would experience their environment as real. From inside, a simulation doesn't feel fake. It feels like reality. Now project this forward. Technology tends to improve. Computing power increases, simulations become more detailed. Eventually, civilizations may be able to simulate entire worlds, entire histories, entire conscious beings. If that's possible, and there's no known physical law that forbids it, then simulated minds could vastly outnumber biological ones, which leads to a disturbing statistical conclusion. If most minds are simulated, then statistically speaking, you probably are too. This argument is known as the simulation hypothesis, popularized by philosopher Nick Bostrom, and its logic is unsettlingly clean. Either civilizations almost never reach the level where they can run such simulations, or they reach it and choose not to run them, or they run many of them. If the third option is true, then the number of simulated observers dwarfs the number of original biological ones, meaning the odds are stacked against you being in base reality. Now pause. This doesn't mean the simulation hypothesis is true, but it does mean it's not obviously false, and that alone should bother you. Now let's talk about physics. Our universe behaves suspiciously like something optimized. There are maximum speeds, minimum lengths, discrete units of energy, quantized reality. Space and time appear pixelated at the smallest scales. There is a maximum amount of information that can exist in a region of space known as the Bekenstein bound. The universe has a resolution limit. That's odd. Why would reality have a maximum resolution? In simulations, resolution limits are everywhere. In base reality, we don't know. Then there's the speed of light, the ultimate speed limit. No information can travel faster. Why? One interpretation, it's just how space-time works. Another interpretation, it's a bandwidth limit. Now let's be clear. None of this proves we live in a simulation, but it does make the idea harder to dismiss. Now let's talk about observation. In quantum mechanics, particles don't have definite properties until measured. They exist in superpositions, multiple states at once, until observation collapses them into a single outcome. Reality seems to care about being observed. Again, not proof, but suspicious. In video games, the world is only rendered where the player looks. You don't simulate every leaf in a forest if no one is there. You generate it when needed. And quantum mechanics behaves a bit like lazy rendering. Now here's the real problem. If we are in a simulation, there may be no way to prove it. Any evidence we gather exists within the simulation. The simulation controls the rules. You cannot step outside reality to inspect its source code, which means this question might be undecidable. And that's uncomfortable, because it means reality could be fake in the deepest sense, and you'd never know. Now let's address the emotional reaction. People hear simulation and think it makes life meaningless, like everything becomes a game, like nothing matters. But think about this carefully. If you stub your toe in a video game, the pain isn't real. But if you feel pain, it is. Experience doesn't become fake just because the underlying substrate changes. If your consciousness is real, then your experiences are real, even if the universe is simulated. A character in a novel doesn't know they're fictional, but their story still has structure, meaning, consequence within the story. Meaning is local. It doesn't require ultimate reality. Now consider this. If we are in a simulation, then the simulators cared enough to run it. They allocated resources. They let it unfold. They didn't shut it down immediately, which means something about this reality was worth simulating. History, evolution, complexity, consciousness, you. Now here's a twist. If reality is a simulation, then the laws of physics are not ultimate. They are rules, and rules can have exceptions, which means the universe might not be fundamentally safe, or fair, or permanent. The simulation could end, not with heat death, not with cosmic collapse, but with someone pressing stop. And that's unsettling, but also strangely familiar, because from your perspective, that's already true. Your personal reality ends when you die. The universe doesn't need to end for your experience to stop. So whether reality is simulated or not, finitude is baked in. Now let's flip the question. What if we are not in a simulation? What does that mean? It means reality is base. It means the laws of physics are fundamental. It means this is the lowest level. But that doesn't make it more meaningful. It just makes it unexplained. Simulation or not, the mystery remains. Why these laws? Why this structure? Why consciousness? The simulation hypothesis doesn't create the mystery, it relocates it. Now here's the most unsettling part. If you can't tell whether you're in a simulation, then you must act as though your actions matter, because from your perspective, they do. Even in a game, choices matter inside the game. Ethics doesn't disappear when reality becomes conditional. Responsibility doesn't vanish when existence becomes contingent. You still affect other conscious beings. You still experience consequences. You still care. Which means the question, is this a simulation, doesn't actually change how you should live. It changes how humble you should be about what reality is. You don't know the ultimate nature of the universe. You might never. And that's okay, because knowing what reality does to you is enough. It gives you experience. It gives you fear. It gives you wonder. It gives you moments like this, where the universe, simulated or not, is thinking about itself through you. So look around again. The walls, the screen, your hands. Real or simulated, this moment is happening, and that's enough. Sit with that for a second. If this made reality feel slightly less solid, but more interesting, like the video, leave a comment with your favorite argument for or against the simulation hypothesis, and share this with someone who occasionally stares at their hands and feels suspicious. Because whether this is base reality or not, you're still here, and that's real enough.